I'm going to give him a plug. He had a family emergency and so was unable to attend. But Mr. Piercy on Twitter, and I will give him a shout out. He is an amazing educator. I met this a few years ago, and Donnie actually works in Buddy Berry School District. So to hear the superintendent talk with that much energy and passion, educators in his district have equally as much passion for what they do and are doing many of the great things every day. So Mr. Piercy on Twitter is a great follow. I do want to get him back here at ITAC in the future because it's nice to hear what it feels like and looks like in the trenches. If you have questions as we get going, that bar will be at the top. So it's a goo.gl /slides/WS blah blah blah. So you can look up there at any time and figure out what that blah 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 is and pop a question in for me. My name is Stacy Behmer. I am the coordinator of digital learning over at Grantwood AEA. Do I have any of my districts here? Yay! I work with an amazing team of instructional technology consultants, digital learning consultants who are presenting across the hall right now. So I am fortunate enough to get to work with them and a bunch of educators in the Grantwood area. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out as we get going, but even after today, that's my job, and that's our job, is to help educators in the state. So feel free to, if you have a question, how do you do this? We know classroom time, kids, instructional time is important. Those of you that are instructional coaches, that time you have with your teachers is limited and valuable too. So if you're looking for a resource, please feel free to reach out to me or somebody on my team. We would be more than happy to help provide. Talk a little bit about those today. But people ask, like, Stacy, how do you know this? Where are you keeping current? And I put on this slide, sorry if you hyperlink that color contrast. On yours is probably white, but I've clicked on it. If you click on any of these resources are really where I go. I have them coming to my email. I'm following stuff on Twitter. I'm trying as stuff I think appears pertinent. I will post it in our Iowa Google Educator group. Do I have anybody in here that's part of our Google Plus community? A few people? Good. So we're trying to share that way too, and I will try to tweet it out as well. But here are a bunch of resources. Now, that's what I love. My job is to stay current, and then those folks in the trenches, that's what I said, like, I'm sitting looking and seeing as this stuff comes in, and I try to share it with as many educators as possible. So that's my job. So what I'm going to do is, as new things come up, I try to add them to the slide deck, just a few new features. So I'm not going to like demo all of them. I'm not going to go into in-depth how to use them, but I'm going to show you these new features that are up and coming. Google Listens. How many people are Google Classroom users? How many people have used Google Classroom like way off the bat, like right at the very beginning of Google Classroom? Who thinks it's changed a little bit? Yeah, what's awesome is Jen and her team are actually, in the bottom there is feature request or feedback button. There are people that actually go in that EDU team and read the feedback, and that's why they've made the changes. So if you have a feature request, one of the feature requests from educators was in Google Calendars. They had appointment slots, and they updated calendars and got rid of that. There was like a huge, like, I don't know, I shouldn't say coup attempt, but educators were like, no, this sucks, we need this. We use the appointment slots all the time when we're trying to schedule it. So they brought appointment slots back for educators. They're making tweaks for educators. If anybody uses Google Cast for kids to cast their Chromebook to the teacher's laptop, that's strictly for educators. That was the design in mind. And just so you know how much money like Google makes off education, like they kind of lose a lot of money with all the resources they throw toward education, but they see it as important outreach. So some of these little features are feature requests that were like, oh, I wish it would do that. One of the features that was in Excel that people like, that was just added this fall, was the ability to add a header and a footer in a spreadsheet. Do I have any spreadsheet nerds? Chad's in the back. Yeah, so this is a nice thing if you print spreadsheets or if you have a data set and you want to add a date, timestamp, or any of that, you can now add that. All of these also, this projector is color's not that good. All of these I've linked to the blog post that explains more and explains how to do it. But that's all I'm going to do is show you some of these features. So you can add headers and footers. If you're thinking about collecting student data and you have student data on a spreadsheet and you want to put the header and footer as that student's name and the date and print it off for a portfolio, that's a great feature. Another one. Oh, Tammy Lind, who's next door, one of our featured speakers, she's doing a session on Google Keep. I'm doing one tomorrow too, or maybe today, I don't know. I'm doing a session on Google Keep. It is like my new favorite tool, but it just got better. You can now take, does anybody use Google Keep? Yeah, so you can take notes on your little Keep notepad. Just think of this as a bunch of sticky notes. So I can do that on my mobile phone. I can take pictures. And then what I can do is I can go to Tools, Keep Notepad, and then actually drag those pictures, drag those graphs and things I've saved into my slide deck. So even if we're not thinking of a slide deck as a presentation, but maybe we're thinking about it as a kiddo has gone out and they've taken pictures and annotated in Google Keep, they could bring this in and make this as each page in their book or of their story. So you can start dragging Keep notes into Google Slides. It's been around for Google Docs for a few months now, but they just added to Slides in like the last 2 or 3 weeks. It seems like Slides got a lot of updates. Again, anytime you have a question, just trying it out, new to me. Okay, great. So another update to Slides is you can make updates, automatic updates on Slides. Do you ever have kids collaborating on one presentation? So sometimes, or if we're thinking, hey, it's open house, right? And we have all the kids make their own slides and we want to bring it together with one slide deck all about all of our students. And we just want that rolling during open house. Well, kids can go in and add their slides to the master deck, okay? And it's linked by, if you have to insert it this way, but if you link the slide then, what will happen is if they go back and update in their own account, in their own, where they're only their one slide, it will automatically update the master slide deck. So an example of this for iTech, Carrie she and I worked on a huge slide deck with all the slides we need for the opening scroll and for tomorrow's intro and then for today's intro. So we have the slide deck about 50 to pull from. And then we have one that pulls those slides for Monday's opening. And then we go from the same one and we come over here to Tuesday's opening, all coming from that master list. We just have to update the master and then all of them will get updated. So we can make different arrangements with that master slide deck just by linking slides. Little things that, until you start thinking about application in your situation, they don't mean a whole lot, but just knowing it's back there. Add-ons to slides. Think about this. Okay, so I gotta find something else to get you guys something new.
Only because we subscribe to Paradeck.
Oh, okay.
And so we're super excited that we can now use that.
So explain that. What are you doing with Paradeck?
Paradeck, interactive slide presentations. So we're one-on-one Chromebooks. I've seen it used in a number of ways. One might be new material and the teacher is presenting something and then they often will use a sidebar for students to take notes or answer questions. And then at the end of the presentation that is shared, so you have a collaborative note-taking experience.
Yeah, so and it's in there's also some formative assessment tools built into Paradeck. Paradeck is an Iowa City company that's just boom, so yay, go Iowa. Paradeck's a huge one, and I think they might be here too, and there might be a session if you haven't heard of them. So they have an add-on. So now, rather than just going to Paradeck and then launching your slide deck, or it's right here in add-ons, get add-ons, and you can go in and start getting those add-ons, your options. If you have a chart, does anybody ever use Lucid Press or Lucid Charts add-on? You can now embed those Lucid Charts as an add-on in a slide. So docs and sheets have had a lot of those add-ons for a while, and now Slides gets them too. One of my other kind of favorites that I'm excited about as we start talking images. Anybody have kids that go to Google for image search? And then they don't cite it, because they cite Google, and yeah, no. So right now, Adobe stock photos are an add-on in Google Slides. So what's really nice is it also gives you, and I was just playing with this more, it will give you right here. So if you actually open a slide deck right now and you go to add-ons, get add-ons, look for the Adobe stock photos, but they have the license agreement right there. So you'll be able to search for an image, and there's some really nice photos that you can bring in, and the licensing, like Creative Commons and all the licensing attribution is there. I'm not going to go through this because that's kind of boring for teachers. Impact portraits. This is something that was launched this summer around ISTE. They took 16, I think it's 8 or 9 states, and they found school districts around the country, and they had a third-party company, that's what the Evergreen Group is, go out and say, hey, what is making these districts different with Chromebooks? Okay, you know how Buddy was talking about worksheets, and if you're just using worksheets again, it's still stupid and all that. So he's like, what are they doing innovative with these devices in the schools? And they specifically focused on Chromebooks because it was Google. And they told those stories and said, what does it look like in a classroom in Kansas City? What does it look like? There was a classroom in Maine Township School District in Illinois. So they went all over the country and found these stories, and these stories are posted on the impact portraits. So if you're kind of looking and you're working with teachers, it's like, what does that mean? What does it look like? And that's what we hear a lot from teachers. We're starting to talk, we do a lot, we've started to do tons and tons more with blended learning. And it's kind of a buzzword, but we want to say, what does that look like? What does that mean? How does that change my classroom? What does it look like for kids? So Google's put these stories together to say, hey, here's some options on how Google Suite and Chromebooks can change what you're doing in the classroom.
Stacy,
Yes?
can I share something I found in slides? I
Oh,
wasn't sure
yeah.
you were doing slides. I found
Yes.
it just this morning when I was prepping my fill-in forms session.
Okay.
You can now right-click a slide in the edit window and say hide, and then it's hidden from your slide deck while you're presenting, which is pretty cool for presenters that present. We have very large slide decks with lots of slides, and instead of having to delete them to get them out of the thing, you can right-click and say hide, and then it doesn't show.
So if I have a list, okay, wait, I'm going to
In your slide deck list in the edit window.
I don't want to end that one because it's going to kick off my little question mark, but let me go to the
Yep.
slide deck. This is how I learn about things. Oops.
I found it while I was working during the keynote.
That's, you're not supposed to say that. Let's just search my drive for a slide deck. Okay. So you're saying I have a slide deck here.
Maybe.
It's coming. Hopefully the network's good throughout the conference.
Hey.
And then where? Where
If
do
you
I
right click the slide that on the left,
go? Or control click on a mouse, Mac.
skip slide.
Oh. So that hides it?
Yep.
Oh!
Look at that. Fancy.
Right click. Who knew?
I did. This
And
morning.
then there's comic relief. I love having Chad stand in my session. Okay, thanks. If anybody else has any tips like that, let's all for one for all here. One of the things too, Google, do I have any Google Form users? Chad's doing a great Google Form session later.
That I prepared during the keynote.
But he's also a spreadsheet nerd. That just sounds really great. One of the things with when you're collecting data, and I do this too, like I'll survey a bunch of teachers, I want to get data from folks, and in my domain, I could always say, if I was collecting data in the domain, I could say collect the username or collect their email address. Awesome. That means they're going to have to put an email address. I'm automatically going to get it. Well, what is bad is if I start collecting it from like a bunch of teachers in all of our 32 districts, sometimes they write like cr.k12.us and they forget the little IA. And I know enough, but when I'm starting to try to automate things, I have to go in and manually fix it. Or they'll put it, they won't put the whole email address, or it won't be an accurate email address. So what this will do is it will say only accept an email address. Or I can't tell you how many forms where I say first name, last name, and they mix that up. And so then think all the times they mix up email address too. So this, just because of data validation, you can say make sure you collect an email address. And that just helps. Again, it's just a little thing that I'm going to say it adds up time over a long period of time. I get some time back in my life. Another thing, you have default settings for questions. So if you always require questions, and those of you who are educators and do some quick formative assessments with Google Forms, you're always checking all the time. Collect email address, make it a required question. You can turn that on as your default. Or you could set your default quiz value so every question on that quiz is 5 points. And then you only have to change the one that you want to make worth 500 points. In the Learn More, it will show you, there's the blog post about it, and it'll show you where to get it in a Google form, but it's just in the settings
Or come to
when
my
you go into
session.
the form. Or you can go to Chad's session. Oh, nice. You just came in here to try and recruit.
Promote myself.
Do you talk about this?
What is it?
Grid?
Oh, yep.
Yep. Okay, so you can go to Chad's session later to learn more. One of the things that you can do now is reorder entire sections. So we have done some branched forms where I ask, the first question is, if you're an elementary teacher, I want you to answer these questions. If you're a secondary teacher, answer these questions. There's just a few questions that are different. So I used to have to copy and paste every single question. Now you can duplicate a whole section and you can move around a whole section instead of just one question at a time. Again, little things that we don't need to spend like hours on, but it's just nice to know it's there because people don't always realize if you click on those 3 little dots, you get some more options. Another thing that's nice is you can select all that apply. So like a survey, you're asking what time and you want multiple options, you can do that. Kind of like a meeting wizard, if anybody ever used meeting wizard, and that's no longer around, so people are using Doodle to find out what times people are available. Presenter tools, this one I kind of like, and whoever said, oh, this is new to me. That's this little thing. Okay, so what I can do, if I start and have my slide deck and I hit start in presenter mode, this bar automatically appears. And if I was mirroring my screen, I could have this in front of me as a presenter, but I'm not mirroring my screen. But when I hit present, look what happens to the slide deck. So I'm going to stop and answer that question. Do you have the ability to direct people based on questions without queries and such in forms? Whoa, can you explain more what you mean by that? Go ahead.
So with the new grid-based system, we had to do stuff like a form ranger and stuff. So
Yeah.
you're saying like elementary teacher, and you just have to kind of build it, obviously very convoluted. Is there a way to be able to say if they answer based upon if they answer this, that they can you can kind of build the answers more efficiently now?
Kind of like a choose your own adventure, like isn't that like a branched form? So if you're saying if they answer A, send them this set of questions?
Like pre-populated information based upon what the answer to, like drop-downs and such.
You can't pre-populate different sections based on a previous answer at this point,
Still not.
correct?
Without having to write a query or...
Correct, and that's where you know smart people that if you really get that
I
through.
knew, I just didn't know if it's something intuitive yet.
Yeah, so me as the 4th grade teacher at heart, no. If your programmer background,
It takes scripting.
it takes
That's what I
scripting.
was going to say, yeah, without all the extra work.
Nope, still extra work for now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So those are like the presenter tools. This is one of the presenter tools. I've seen some awesome uses of the presenter tools as a quick check for understanding. So before kids leave, instead of posting a question, I want you to pick the one tool that you learned today when you were in here that you're going to go back and share with a student or teacher and post that in here before you leave. That's your exit ticket. You don't really have to do that if you want to. I always like feedback, but that's one way I've seen this used. Too, not just for the Q&A part, but teachers kind of always hack different things to make them do things that they want and they need. Another thing that showed up down here, if you haven't seen this, this is nice. This is a quick way to get to your speaker notes and then the pointer. So kids are presenting, or even if you already have something specifically to show, you've got this little guy that can draw attention as a laser pointer. I'm going to shut him off. And then full screen, and then your extra tools, settings here. Okay. I know I have a fault of saying everything's my favorite, so nothing is my favorite, but Google Keep is one of my favorites, and Google Photos is one of my favorites. Google Photos, we are using it for iTech, a shared album. Does anybody use Google Photos? Personally, okay, if you don't, it's free storage, folks. Go on right now, I don't care if you don't listen to them anymore I say, just for your own personal well-being, download the Google Photos app, put it, back up all your photos in your personal account over Wi-Fi, because our Wi-Fi is pretty good. And
You just told a room full of people to upload all
I know, I
photos.
just realized it after it came out of my mouth. But you're standing right here, so if something goes wrong. So if you upload your photos, then you can clean out that space on your phone. So that instant upload will help over Wi-Fi. You can use yourself if you have unlimited data. But the nice thing about this then is you can share those photo albums, and you can have a collaborative album. If kids are going out and just, you can think about doing this too with kids, even if they have an iPad or if they've got their own devices, or if you put the Google Photos app on an Expeditions kit. If you've got Expeditions kit, put the Google Photos app out there. Instead of using the phones for an expedition, use them for a field trip around your school and snap the pictures. And then you can make a collaborative class album with all of the pictures that you've gathered. So if you've got around a theme, I'm thinking second grade, we're going around and we're going to look for different shapes. We're going to look for parallel lines. So different things like that. You can have this collective shared album. And then one of the things we did for our student tech fairs this year is I shared a photo album link with all the sponsors. And they were taking pictures. They uploaded it. After the Friday, gave them a week, we closed it down so nobody could add it, any more photos. And then we shared that link out with all of the sponsors. They could forward it on to moms and dads or whoever, but you can open and close that photo albums to decide who can contribute, okay? Yeah, we did it our family vacation last year. We all did it, so now we have everybody's photos all in one place. Photo scan. So here's where I tell a story. Dad, you want to raise your hand? So when Dave retired, there he is. If I have to get embarrassed today, I can call him out. So after he retired, one of his projects was to scan a bunch of pictures on a flatbed scanner. And he scanned each picture, and hours, kept him busy one winter when he couldn't golf. And he saved each picture and uploaded it and named them. It is amazing. We have all of our pictures from the photo album, so we all have access to it. Super. If he would have waited 6 years, he could have just used this photo scan app and just put it down and taken a picture of each one. So this is really easy, and Google will actually adjust it and crop it for you and then upload it into Google Photos. So it's a photo scan app, or if you open up Google Photos, you'll see a button for it. So think about kids coming in, if they're bringing in old photos, or if you're doing a report about or biography about someone in your family and we don't want to necessarily bring all those paper photos home, it's really easy to snap a picture of those photos and take a photo of a photo and get good quality. Google Earth Voyager. Who has played with Google Earth now on a Chromebook or on a device web-based? A few people? You need to go check it out. New Google Earth. So now you don't need to download Google Earth onto your computer. It used to be, that's what we had to do. It took up quite a bit of space, and then you had to get the updates and everything. Now it is web-based. So they've done a lot of updates with Google Earth, and one of the features is the Voyager. So I'm going to actually go into Google Earth and show you where that is. Has anybody played with the Google Earth Voyager? I don't want. Okay, well, if you haven't, Tammy's going to spend some more time in one of her sessions, but it's just google.com/earth. I always type it wrong, so if you come in here, and I don't always remember to scroll, that's why I wanted to go here, you can come here and there's this link to the Voyager. So what Google did is they partnered with National Geographic and other companies specifically for education, and they created experiences with video and images to tell a story of a region. So I'm going to click in here, let it load. How many billions of years? Okay. It really works. It just takes some time.
That's because you just told everyone to upload all their photos.
Yeah, that's right. So you can come in and see the museums from around the world. And now I might lose you too. And within these, as I click, it tells a story. So if you think about the exploration, sometimes there is videos, but you're going to fly from point to point. But now here's the National Gallery of Australia, and here's images from inside. Sometimes throughout this tour, so this is what it looks like outside, and it will actually load. But then you've got the images inside. Sometimes there's video up there that talks about this. And now I'm going to fly to the next location. There's 28 slides in this at this location, but you also have Pegman. How many people have ever played with Pegman and dropped him on Street View? So Pegman, so you can actually plop yourself right there and look around and see what it looks like at the National Gallery of Australia, as well as learn more about it. So I'm going to fly to the next location, to the next museum. So this is all in Voyager as part of Google Earth. If you accidentally get click happy and you're in Google Earth prematurely, here's the Voyager logo as well. So you can come over here and pick from all of these locations. So there's editor's pick, there's travel, nature, culture, history, education. How many people have used Google Expeditions and done any of that touring? Just a few? Okay. Well, if you haven't, there's going to be expedition sessions on VR. But this is a great way to take those expeditions to another level. So if I only have a class set of 5 of the VR goggles, maybe I can have some kids exploring content here too in a little bit more interactive way. So again, this was just released in June around ISTE, and they are adding more to this. Another question. Is there a way to have certain answers or responses in sections email? No, it's all or nothing on the email responses. Sorry, I should have looked at this. Which Google Earth? Okay. Okay, so this is interesting. I was out at Google for a Geo Institute this summer, and they said they needed their paperwork to make Google Earth for ready agreement for K-12 to follow all the EULAs and everything into the U.S. Department or whoever does the approval by October. They had it ready to go, or like they had to have it in October. They didn't have it until November, so they missed the deadline by like a week. So it is all legit. They just didn't have all their formal documentation ready to go. So the EULA is not completely updated, and it can't be updated until like I don't know, it's just like around this time this fall. They are totally compliant. They just missed the deadline to get the stamp. So that is going to be coming, and they said by the end of the calendar year, they would have the stamp on it. So they will make, from an IT perspective, it is safe for everybody to use. They are going to follow in the, I think it is a core service now, isn't it, Chad? Google Earth, a core service?
I don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer to that. Does anybody know if Google Earth is a core service? They said once they were official and they got the stamp, then it was going to be a core service so your IT person could push it out. And they weren't going to put it in there until it was a core service. It was approved. So I would feel very comfortable telling you, you can put kids on this, you can put it in the domain. and follow. Your IT folks don't need to totally be upset, but I understand being cautious about that because they specifically called us out and said they missed it by a week. They just didn't have the paperwork ready. But they're like, why would we want to have it ready for kids? That was part of the intent. Okay, great question though. Does anybody know what week this is, other than iTech Week? Digital Citizenship Week. So, how many people have seen the Be Internet Awesome website? Few of you? Okay, so that means I've shown almost everybody something brand new. Be Internet Awesome is a gamified website. I would say grades 4th, maybe 3rd through middle school-ish. Your kids can go into Interland, and it actually covers different aspects of digital citizenship. So, talks about your digital footprint, how to be smart online, making good choices, being kind to others online. So it's got a bunch of questions about this. This is a great resource, and I did not put it on here, but there is also digital citizenship course for teachers and resources too. So if you're like, what do I teach on digital citizenship? Google has a resource as well. I always recommend Common Sense Media. I will repeat that. Common Sense Media has a great quality content for teachers, families. So if you want to share stuff with mom and dad to have those conversations at home, there's good content there as well. And then good activities and things for kids. So Common Sense Media is great. This is a nice little gamified thing on digital citizenship and internet safety. Anybody else want to comment? Because it is DigCid Week. Expeditions. Tammy's doing a session next, or she's not doing the expedition session. If you have not seen Google Expeditions, she's doing a session on Google Expeditions and Google Earth later on. One of the nice things about Google Expedition, who knows what Google Expeditions, when I say that, knows what I'm talking about? Quite a few of you. So they're the VR goggles, and that's why I go like this, because you put the little headset on, and all the kids are looking around at the same thing. And it's guided. And I say that all the kids are looking at the same thing. One of the things they launched this summer is a self-guided mode now on Google Expeditions. So kids can click through, and if they're done looking at the base camp of Everest, and they want to move to the next layer, they can click and go on their own. So they can actually start it in a self-guided mode. So that was an update. They also added a feature as a teacher. If I want to draw on the expedition, I'm specifically talking about one specific spot, I can draw on the teacher tablet and have them look right there and then talk about a specific feature. One of the things that's coming out right now, and I'm super excited about it, is augmented reality. Does anybody know? Anybody play Pokemon Go? Or know it? Does anybody know about it? You don't have to admit to playing it. But if you had Pokemon Go, or if you've seen Erasma, where you hold up your iPad and you actually see an image, but it's not really there, but it seems like it is, that's augmented reality. Google started with expeditions, and now they're adding an AR component too. So there's a Pioneer flight out this year, so different districts and schools around the country are practicing with this. So you actually put a phone on a selfie stick kind of thing, and the kids are looking through that. And they built a putt-putt golf course. So just by holding the stick, they're seeing the hole in the putt-putt golf course around their classroom. So that's augmented reality. Apple just released a bunch of AR apps with the new iOS update. And then there's some other AR apps that I'm all about too. Metaverse is one where you can make your own Pokemon Go. Metaverse, shameless plug. Mindy and Amber I think they're doing an AR session across the hall later today. So if you're interested in AR and having students create AR, augmented reality, not just virtual reality, there's a session on that later. Let me jump back to my questions. Okay. And I'm gonna check my time. I'm trying to execute some wait time for questions. Okay, quick access. This is something that was added. Did anybody notice when they go to Google Drive now that it's going to say like frequently used documents, so it's going to make recommendations, which is just a time saver. So that's nice. It'll pop up some of those that you are able to use, or you're using frequently. Those of us that have a problem with 80 tabs open, it doesn't help us much. But if you're using the same 3 or 4 referencing a specific document frequently, that's good. Nice feature. Google Earth update. Just know that this you can do it on a Chromebook. That's the big thing on this one. And Tammy's going to do some more sessions on it too. But Street View and having kids be able to go somewhere virtually is helping level the playing field and helping kids build their schema as they're reading and engaging in content. Okay, so now if you are totally bored and you're tired of listening to me, if you want to go to AutoDraw, try AutoDraw here. If you go to that site for AutoDraw, you can start drawing a shape and it will turn it into, it'll give you suggestions. So it kind of makes everybody feel like an artist. So I started to build a house and it actually recommended a house. And then you can save those images. So for those kids, or Stacy Behmer, who is not an artist, I can do an illustration and feel good about it and use it for a writing prompt or part of my story.
That doesn't work the opposite way on you?
What?
It doesn't make you feel like you're a bad drawer?
No, because I am. I guess I've owned that.
I'm just thinking of a kindergartner or first grader that drew this beautiful tree and then we changed it to something better.
Oh, yeah, it just depends on how you frame it. I don't know. I still think at some young age or some ages, though, that it's good just to draw on paper and pencil. I wouldn't necessarily go on this. But you're right. I mean, I would know your kiddos, but yeah. For me, it helped. I'm thinking about some of the kiddos that I would work with. I would want them so it wouldn't be a hindrance to them. I can't draw, I can't do it. Let's just do it here first to help get you jump started and over that, because that's not really what I'm focused on. So this smart reply, this just came to iOS folks last spring, and I had some people like freak out on me, and I'm like, I've had it forever, because I'm like one of the few that still has an Android device, and I won't get rid of it. But it suggests replies to you. So Carrie emailed me this morning and said, hey, would you make this change? Okay, great. Like I just click that and hit reply. So it gives you a smart reply prompt. You don't have to use it, but it's kind of nice for those quick ones. This was new. Again, this was last winter. I'm just going through some highlights. If there's other things that people have questions on, I'm going to keep going back. You can now, on some Chromebooks, add the Google Play Store. So you can have that Chromebook act like a tablet or a Chromebook. You can do both. Does anybody know if they've got some of those in their schools now? Yeah. There's a good conversation, and I'm excited to learn more from some of those early adopters to say, how does it work? Carl just shared yesterday, and if you're interested in what the app is, do you remember what it was? It's like Boardmaker. If anybody knows the app or has any kiddos that use Boardmaker, there's a free app that does something similar on those devices to Boardmaker. It's not as elaborate as Boardmaker. I wouldn't give it to my SLPs just yet. But I want to start exploring that option, because I think it's Speak It. Email me and I'll let you know, or I'll tweet it out. It's on my Chromebook upstairs. But the beautiful thing is now you've got that tablet option for those kiddos that need the touchscreen tablet, and you also can have it as a Chromebook to type. Video options. I hope everybody knows that there's video options now. If you insert a video into a slide deck, you right-click or on it and go to video options. On the right-hand side, when you insert your video, you can actually have the video play from a certain spot. So you don't have to crop the video to add it to your slideshow. You can say start playing here, stop here. You can mute it. Some of those things that people are like, I need to use PowerPoint, I have to use Keynote because I need to mute the video. Because in Google, your YouTube video would just play, or you get that silly commercial and you just want 3 seconds. You can do that now. I'm not gonna. Okay. Oh, here it is. So this is where it is too. Oh, I did it wrong. So this one, you can now insert videos from Google Drive. That's what this is saying. And, which most of you know, but then this is where those editors are. So autoplay when presenting, or auto mute. Mute the audio from start. This is Google Sites. How many people are using Google Sites? Not old Google Sites, but the other Google Sites? Okay, I'm going to try to not call it new Google Sites anymore. They've just added a magnifying glass this fall, so you can search your own Google site. So that was not there before. You used to have like a search bar, or you could add the search in old sites. Now it's automatically there to search your Google site, just up in the top right. This was something else that people were asking for, and I like new Google sites because they're easier to make, but they're limiting. They didn't have all the features as old Google sites because we all wanted templates, right? So our kids could do their portfolios and they just plug and chug. So some of those features are coming for us. One of the things that they've added now is you can do an iframe, so I can embed a site or an iframe image on a Google site. And that's just one of the options. When you're working, you'll see it up in the top right. Named versions. Does anybody ever go to have a document? I'm trying to think of one. We have a PD. Every fall, we have this PD Palooza, okay? And then next year, we'll have a PD Palooza, and then we've had it for like 5 years. So I have like 5 PD Palooza documents, okay? Or if you have a student handbook, and you have like 5 different versions of that same student handbook. You have 5 documents. What Google has done is instead they've gotten rid of revision history. Instead they've called it version history because you can name the versions. So here's what I'm talking about. So we just go through our PD Palooza. This is this year's PD Palooza. And what I can do is I can name this version. Let me move this up for you. And I can go File, Version History. I can name this version. So I could name this 2017. Save. So now, if I go to Version History, I can say, just show me the named versions. So I'm going to go see Version History. It's going to show me all the revisions. So anytime anybody made a document ever, or any change ever. But up here, I can show only the named versions. So now I have, here's August 2017 PD Palooza. Here's what it looked like in 2016. Here's 2015. Here's 2014. So I can go back and see over time what the changes were each year. So again, I'm thinking of big documents like your student handbook. If you're just making adjustments, you don't have to make a copy and use a new document. You can stay on that original document and easily jump back.
Can you do this by changing the year?
Yeah, yep, you just name the version.
Name
the version.
You gave it the year name.
And then I gave it the name.
Break it into the year.
Yeah, and you can name it anything. If this is the final draft, or so you can stay on that same document.
Can you link or jump to a specific version?
Absolutely. So if I click on August, I can restore to this version. And so if I jump back to 14, I really need to go back to 17. I just go back to version history, and 17 is still there. It's just lower in the list now. And I can keep jumping back. This is kind of saved like us because we have a lot of new staff orientation. We just make a few edits and tweaks and time changes. We really just need the same document. But then we're always like, where's last year's version to go look at the difference? And I can also still see one of the beautiful things is like with kids with writing, I still want to see who made what edits when. I still can go back and get the little, at 8:01 p.m., this is what Wiley did, and know that I made a change at 9:42. Like I can still get all those individual revisions if I want to. So they changed it. It's not revision history anymore. It's called version history. And you can just name different versions. Okay. Starting with a template, this is something I get going too quick, and I'm like, new doc, new doc. And I can see kids doing that as well. Just know if you're in Google Drive, there are templates. Again, these are things that educators wanted back, and they had to come back a little bit slower. We had to wait. If you go to new, and you just, instead of just clicking on Google Docs, click over to that little arrow, and you have a list of templates. Does anybody use any of those templates sometimes? I think when we didn't have them, people really wanted them. But there's a resume template. In spreadsheets, there's a budget template. So some of those things that were in Excel that we were used to, they're here. They're here too. It's okay. So you can have, if you already had templates you were using, you can upload those and make those templates for your domain for your teachers or your kids to have access to. One of the things I like to do is I'm starting to do some of this stuff, just my silly trick. I like just to have a list of what the docs are that I'm needing people to make copies of, and Tony Vincent has this on his thing too. If you change this word edit, has anybody done this trick? Oh yeah, it's like, yay. And if I say this edit to copy and give that URL to the kids, they have to make a copy of the doc. Just by changing, again, up here, I changed that from edit to the word copy. And then that's the link I put on a Google Doc. Here are the 5 things you guys need to make. And then I can write a little description by it too. Okay. How many people now picked up one thing they can use? I still have hands that don't. Okay. Well, I have a bunch more here. I'm not going to get through all of them. As we get going, as I add more new things, I just keep adding to this slide deck. So feel free to scroll through the slide deck. One of the things teachers wanted was rotating text in a sheet. I don't know why we like that so much. Another thing teachers wanted, in honor of hopefully a Cubs win, I've got the Go Cubs Go lyrics going in a column. So just know, some of us wanted columns. That came too. My contact information is on the site. It is also the first slide and the last slide of the slide deck. If you have questions, please, again, feel free to ask me, shoot me an email, drop me a tweet. I will get back to you as soon as I can. This week is probably going to be after Thursday. Okay, have a good conference, you guys.